everyone. Good morning, good evening, good afternoon, good evening, as we have people joining us from different time zones. So welcome, welcome. It's an honor to welcome you all today to this virtual gathering in celebration of International Women's Day. This gathering is actually happening on the day, so today is March 8th. So happy International Women's Day to everyone. So this day is an opportunity to reflect on the incredible contribution of women worldwide and to continue our collective efforts towards equality and empowerment, as there is a lot to achieve in this area. So today I invite you to honor the women in your life and to recognize the everyday strength, resilience, and passion of women everywhere in the world, whether in leadership roles, in communities, in homes, or in the workplace, everywhere. And as we celebrate this day, let's remember that we should all advocate for a more inclusive and equitable world for everyone. And I invite you to reflect on how we can all contribute to this movement, and not just today, but every single day. This actually embodies the principles of the Siinqee Solidarity. In a world where division often prevails, Siinqee Solidarity reminds us of the importance of standing together, especially in times of struggle. So it is a call to uphold each other's rights, protect our shared values, and champion the well-being of each other. So thank you for being here today and for choosing to spend the next 90 minutes in this virtual meeting. I do hope you will enjoy this program and get something out of it. And with this, let me show you what we have planned today. So I'm going to share the agenda with you. Yeah, so I am going to go to our land acknowledgement. I'm going to read the land acknowledgement, and I invite you to follow with me. I'll show it on the screen. And then Aga will be opening this program with blessings, followed by introductions by Kue. She's going to introduce the event and also our speakers and our speaker and the discussants. And then we will go to Q&A, and we will want to hear your reflections. And if you have questions, this is a time that you can ask your questions and be engaged. And then I'm going to come back and close the session. So all in all, we want to spend the next 90 minutes together, and I hope you will benefit from this program. So going to the land acknowledgement, we at the Siinqee Institute offer our deep gratitude and respect to the indigenous stewards of the lands on which we live, learn, and work. Deeply engaged in our own decolonization, we also offer meaningful support to emancipatory struggles for decolonization, justice, and self-determination everywhere. So thank you very much, and I am going to pass on the baton to Aga.
Okay. Thank you, Narti. Nagaa bultanii. Akkuma aadaa keenyaatti eebbaan jalqabna. Na of galchaa. Waaqa aayyolee keenyaa, waaqa abbootii keenyaa, waaqa saba keenyaa, waaqa biyya lafaa, waaqa ardiif samii uume, waaqa lafa dhiisaa malee diriirse, waaqa samii utubaa malee dhaabe, waaqa hiddii malee hiddii soore. Waaqni nu haa of galchuu, walgayii keenya kana irra akka milkoofnu nu haa gargaaru, na of galchaa. Happy International Women's Day to all of our attendees and audiences who don't speak Afaan Oromo. May God, the creator of all creation, God of our mothers, God of our fathers, God of our ancestors, God of all creations, God who created day and night, God who created light and darkness, we ask for to grant us peace as we give us wisdom, as we gather here and celebrate one another and the millions of women in the world. I would invite all of you to take a moment to reflect on the countless women in Oromia, in different parts of Ethiopia, in Palestine, in Syria, everywhere, women who are caught in a war, who are displaced. Let's think of them on this special day. And may God grant us peace, love, and justice. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Aga. And Nardi set the tone so wonderfully. Thank you all. And Ana Rufahundi, that's in my Oromo tongue. Hon Bkhair Haten in Kurdish. And welcome everyone in English. Happy International Women's Day. Thank you for joining us for this highly anticipated webinar. My name is Martha Kwekumsa. I am here. I'm a board member of the Siinqee Institute, and I'm here to introduce this panel, Reflections on the Untold Stories of the Women in Rojava, Syria. The Siinqee Institute is a nonprofit organization. It is not affiliated with any political or religious organizations. So this is our disclaimer. And the views, political and religious or otherwise, in this panel belong to the presenters. But we respect every position that is expressed here, even when they do not align with our views. That's women. There's a lot of attention to Syria. The world is talking about transitioning Syria into democracy. But on the ground, women of Rojava are already creating these wonderfully democratic grassroots organizations on the ground. And these are multi-ethnic, multi-faith organizations, grassroots institutions already on the ground, and nobody talks about them. These are for the people, by the people, already taking roots on the ground, and we don't know about them. So at Siinqee Institute, with a mission of lifting up these suppressed knowledges of women and experiences of women, we just stood in solidarity and created this very small webinar to raise awareness about what's going on the ground, how that model that the women have created, they have gone miles against all odds to create these spaces of democracy, grassroots democracy, in the Middle East, in the unrelenting violence of the Middle East. They created these havens of peace. This could be the model for everybody, for peace, for harmony in the world, which we seriously lack today. So that's why we are creating this webinar. And we have lined up amazing speakers. And the first one, our very distinguished speaker, is none other but Zilan Narin, a member of the Academy of Jineologji. And she's from Kurdistan. She was with us last year when we celebrated International Women's Day. So very welcome to Zilan. And to actually tease out Zilan's talk, we have two amazing reflections by Soretti Kader and Perry Clem. Soretti is a political organizer, a journalist, and a wonderful storyteller. And she organizes with Oromo Democratic Revolutionary Party, a Pan-Africanist party that seeks to organize for revolutionary, multinational class revolution in Ethiopia. Can you believe it? That's wonderful. So welcome, Soretti. And Perry Clem is our very cherished member of our Siinqee board, and she is a professor at California State University, Northridge. And her film, Siinqee, the Siinqee Sisterhood, debuts next month. You don't want to miss that. And thank you. Welcome, Perry. But before I hand over to the speakers, we have an amazingly powerful video that would really set up the stage for Zilan's talk. So we will start with that video now. Thank you so much.
Everyone, you are all welcome. Bukharatın. Really, it's very touching for me also to watch all together this video, which is talking about the resistance of women, which is talking about the pains of women, which is talking about the life of the women, and which is very strongly commemorating all of the women who fight for freedom, for equality, for a just life. So it is the tireless work of all those women who also we see in the video that we are able to hear talk together today. And we believe women's struggle and energy of life. And we believe that this struggle and energy can recur the world, which is wounded actually by states, by men, by mentality of power. So I want to start again by remembering all of these, our beloved sisters, comrades, in this special day, in 8th of March, Women's Day of the world, which has been gained by the struggle and with the pains of the women. So, especially for the North and East Syria and for Kurdistan, for Rojava, which we call West Kurdistan, I especially want to today rename some of those Shahids, martyrs names, like Sakine Cansız, Arim Mirkan, Sorkun Roşlat, Rona Hiyekta, which falls Shahid, fall martyr just 1 month ago. Saliha Vian, which again a couple of weeks ago we lost her. Menice Kamışlo, a mother of many children who fall Shahid again with the Turkish offensive during the Turkish attacks. Ivana Hoffman, Arina Sanchez, Anna Campbell, and many other friends who are not today with us here, but who create the days, who create the energy that we are able to be here, and we can talk all together as Kurdish women and as Oromo women together, which the history of the two peoples are very much resembling each other, actually. And I see that we pass from the same paths, almost in the same timeline. When the Oromo people faced with a massacre, with genocides, during the same times, Kurdish people were also facing with massacre, genocides with during the Ottoman Empire. When the Oromo people start to celebrate Gada, celebrating 90s, Kurdish people start to celebrate their Newroz Spring Festival as a political uprising. And today here, we are all together talking here to talk about how we can unite our struggles, how we can unite our energy to create a livable world, to create a just world, to create a safe world for women, for all the humanity, for children. So, as Kuwei very nicely made her introduction, and she gave us the background, actually, why we are here. I am Zilan from Jineologji Academy. Jineologji Academy is working mainly in Kurdistan, but not just in Kurdistan, in other parts of world also we have works. But today we are here to talk especially on what's happening in Kurdistan and distinguishly what's happening in Syria, which one part of Kurdistan is within the Syria borders. So maybe you all followed what happened in Syria or what's happening in Syria, because nowadays it's the top topic, I think, and it's an important topic for the whole world, not just for Syria or not just for the people living in Syria. I will try to cover up what's happening and what are the main points in the map in those days that we are living, and as women, what we are doing and what we can do together. For this, 2 months before, as Jineologji Academy, we made a call, and after this call, our dialogue, what we can do with this call, started, as Kuwei also remembered. So I will try to cover up a little bit this process. So following the overthrow of the Assad regime, now a very critical process is taking in Syria. And this concerns whole world. So far, Hayat Tahrir Sham, this means the Damascus front, Damascus military front, HTŞ in shortly said like this. Its leader Jolani Ahmed Shara declared himself as the new president of Syria, and now he formed a so-called temporary government consisting from cadres of HTŞ, Hayat Tahrir Sham. And now, while this so-called temporary government is declaring what they will follow and what they will do, on the other hand, for a democratic Syria, for the future of Syria, on the other hand, we see that they exclude almost all the social actors in Syria, except the HTŞ affiliate groups in the new process of reconstruction. Many social sectors, political actors, and individuals have expressed their concerns about these threats of this process. And meanwhile, many state actors, exclusively from Europe, nearly all of the known states visited Damascus and present their support in these 2 months. And in all this process, we say that there's something false in this. This group, this HTŞ, Hayat Tahrir Sham, is a fundamental violent group which is named as labeled as terrorist with all of these states. And now, while they are continuing their massacres, while they are continuing their exclusionary policies, all the states are supporting them. And on the other side, nobody is talking about what will happen to the all peoples from different ethnicities, from different religions, from different beliefs and backgrounds who are living in Syria. Nobody has been talking about this so far. Very, very few voices come up. Some solidarity actions, some solidarity events has come up, but still, what's going on in Syria is just viewed from the vision of Damascus. But what's happening in Damascus now is not showing us what's happening in Syria at all, because now in Damascus, a couple of weeks ago, this so-called government they gather a national dialogue congress. And in this national dialogue congress, they declare that now they are ready, they are building committees, democratic committees, to build up a democratic Syria, to build up, to write the new constitution of the Syria, new Syria. But unfortunately, in this National Dialogue Congress, there were no Kurds, there were no Alevites, there were no Durzis. There were actually no women who can talk or who is talking on her behalf. There were just the people, the individuals who are strongly affiliated with Hayat Tahrir Sham, so-called with the leadership of Jolani. And so if we cannot rely on what's going on in Damascus to understand Syria, then what is our resource of information? How we should inform ourselves to understand what's going on in Syria? So to understand this, actually to find an answer for this, especially we want to make a call for the women, for the comrades, for the academicians, for the students, for the journalists, for the activists, actually for the one whose eyes and whose ears are open to the pains and to the voices of the women and oppressed people among the world. So we say that we should directly talk. In order to be aware of threats, in order to take action, and in order to be able to circulate accurate information. Because circulating accurate information is very crucial, especially for women, because now for women, the risk in Syria is very high. Very high. This new government is kind of Islamic. Maybe you all know ISIS, Daesh, said in Kurdish policies. Maybe you all heard about what they did in 2015, in 2016 to the women in Shengal, in Sinjar. What they did to the women in Raqqa, in Syria, how they sold women as slaves, as sex slaves in the markets, and how they massacred women and all of the people who are not affiliated with them. And this group is directly belonging to the same ideology. So although their narrative is on the line of we will bring democracy, we will we will be open to all different voices, but both the practices that we are now in, we are seeing, and both the history, the background of them, make it clear for us as women that we should take action, we should draw attention to the threats of this new process which is going on in Syria. And if states or the state officers are choosing for their interests to stay aligned with this new Islamic forces, then we need to develop solidarity from women. We need to develop solidarity of people to make the voices of women, to make the voices of people hearable, and to take action to prevent their ideals from materializing. So again, I want to say that so it's very important for us. We are very glad that here in 8th of March we have this opportunity to talk together and to share our feelings. So maybe because many of us are not able to see maybe the maps or the geography, if you let me, I want to share a map. I want to share this map for you to make it a little bit understandable where we are talking about, and what is the geography there now. As you know, in 2011, the popular uprisings in the Middle East became known as Arab Spring, started, and after these popular uprisings, actually, the civilian governments replaced the authoritarian regimes, but they didn't bring equality and democracy. So the conflicts, confusion in the Middle East continue, and Middle East with the interventions, military interventions, international international interventions, Middle East turned back into a kind of a theater, a scan of proxy wars, and during these times, we see in Syria also a process started, uprising started in 2011, and in 2011 also in Rojava, in the Kurdish part of the Syria, people expelled the Syrian regime forces and declared their own rules. Where is Rojava, what we call West Kurdistan, is this line, this line we call as Rojava, Kamishlo, from Kamishlo to Afrin, and here is Turkish side of Kurdistan, North Kurdistan we call, and here we have in Iraq also South Kurdistan, and there upside there also we have a part of Kurdistan in Iran. So we are talking about in Syria. In Syria now, this is the last map in 2019. In 2019. All these areas, actually these green areas and most of the yellow areas were in black. That means under the occupation of ISIS. But then the Kurdish led forces, people's forces, they fight, they struggled, and they throw over Daesh. The last situation in Syria is, I want to just shortly inform you, these yellow areas are under the control of autonomous administration of North and East Syria. The light green areas are under the control of Hayat Tahrir Sham HTŞ forces, and these dark green areas, which are Kurdish regions, are under the occupation of direct occupation of Kurdish states, and Kurdish states, their mercenaries, Syrian National Army, and Damascus, just Dera. Here now, currently, Israeli forces are occupying the Golan Hills here. And here, the Laskiye, Tarsus, this region where we call the line, west line of Syria. Latkия, Tarsus, there are cities which are mostly occupied by Alevites, a different belief within the Islam, which are not Sunni, which HTŞ, HTŞ and Syrian Nation Army are. So this is shortly what this map is saying to us. Now currently in this small point, we have a dam, Tishrin Dam. Tishrin Dam is the connection between the west of Euphrates and east of Euphrates. And since 2 months, 60 days, there is a big resistance of Syrian Democratic Forces fighting against Syrian National Army, which are backed by Turkish state. And actually, Turkish state is directly within this war. Here, there is a war continuing on. And from the beginning of these 2 months, but now again since 2 days, we see harsh clashes. Actually, we see a massacre. We see a massacre from the HTŞ forces against Alevites, people living in this area, in this coastal area. So a very touching, really a very hurting, dehumanizing massacre is going on since days. And again, we see as the word is silent. Again for this resistance continuing in Manbij, in Tishrin Dam. The word is again keeps its silence about this massacre continuing in the coastal region of Syria. So how we say North and East Syria, this is the general map. North and East Syria, what we call this yellow region you see in the map, is not just occupied by Kurdish people. Northeast Syria is geographically home to Kurds, Arabs, Assyrians, Armenians, Turkmens, Muslims, Christians, Yazidis, Alevites. So, and in northern East Syria, since 2012, people living here are organizing themselves, and they create a self-organization, self-administration, which includes all of these different voices, all of these different colors, and this system which they organize, they develop, is building of co-presidency, equal representation of women and men from a bottom-up democracy based on communes, based on people's councils, and to a cooperative economy, a collective economy. Although the war conditions, continuing attacks of Turkish state and interventions of foreign forces, let's say, since 2012, people here are resisting to keep this administration, this organization, this life, which they will by their hands, by their hearts, and with all the martyrs they gave. During these 12 years, people of North and East Syria give more than 10,000 of their girls, daughters, their sons, their fathers, their mothers. More than 10,000, and thousands of injured, thousands of veterans. So the model by this by this pains, by this fight, a model has been developed in Rojava, in North and East Syria. And we call this Rojava Women's Revolution. We call this a women revolution because its main pillars are very much relying on the values which women are historically carrying, and which women have been created during their long wide struggle. So Rojava Women's Revolution, give the character of the administration in the democratic autonomous administration in North and East Syria. So, and as we say, this basically the autonomous women's organizations, women's cooperatives, women's houses, everywhere in economic, political, religious, in all of the institutions, everywhere of the life, equal representation and authentic voice of women has been taken forward. And in this democratic administration, self-governing, self-ruling system, everybody can talk on their behalf, and everybody is giving their decisions all together. So no section of the society is going forward and the others are staying back. So we say that this model developed in Rojava can be the blueprint for solving the problems of the entire Middle East, not just Syria, entire Middle East. Now what we need in Syria is to hear all of the voices. Now what we need in Syria is to have the authentic voice of the women. What we need in Syria is now democracy, peace, and freedom. And this democracy, peace, and freedom has been formed in North and East Syria. So now today we are at the very moment, at the very corner where what will happen to Syria? Now there is two models coming forward. One way is going to Syrian Arab Republic, which is like the Assad-Baas regime's times. One nation, one flag, one language, colonizing all the other peoples and all the other colors living inside. And the other way is going to Democratic Syrian Republic, which its model we see in democratic autonomous administration of North and East Syria. And here it's still unclear what kind of future is awaiting us. Now we are fighting, we are struggling with all of our power to make this way to the Democratic Syrian Republic. But what we see on the other hand, there is a day by day struggle. The hegemonic forces are still backing the way which is going to Syrian Arab Republic, or which is opening way the new wars going on. So in this sense, it is very important to remember and to see the importance of resistance, which is going on this very small area in Tishindem, in Manbij. Since 2 months, the fighters, not just fighters, the Syrian Democratic Forces, but civilians are taking their democratic vigil. They are staying there to protect them, to be with the fighters there. Every day, there are hundreds of civilian people there to declare their will, to declare to the world and to the Syria that we will protect what we gain. So it's very important to see them, to understand them, and also it's very important to see now what is happening, what this new government, although they do all this national dialogue congress, although they declare that they will be respectful to the women's rights, quote unquote, but still there is no sign, just words, just the empty narrative, let's say. On the other hand, we see that I want to show you some videos, some footage, but I couldn't because it's very hurting to see. So to see this. And for this, we have a very important power, we have a very important backup, because on 20th of February, after 26 years of confinement, isolation, Kurdish leader, people's leader, Abdullah Öcalan, come up with a new initiative, for solving Kurdish problem, for solving the problems of the region, Middle East, and his initiative was to profound change, peace, and democracy. So we are very hopeful. We are full of hope, and we are full of energy, and we have this strong belief that we will create a just world and peaceful world, democracy and free world, not just for Syria, not just for Kurdistan, but for the whole Middle East and for the world also. So we call for you, everyone, to unite each other's aspirations for democracy, peace, and equality and freedom. And because it's more than any time, we need to be our voice and each other's voices and each other's conscious at this moment. I want to stop here. I know that I just go over my time. Sorry. Thank you for listening.
Zilan, thank you so much for sharing so thoroughly, for providing what I think a lot of people in this Zoom room would have probably heard in that much detail for the first time, and giving us the opportunity to really hear a first-hand account from people who are struggling on the ground in Rojava, in Kurdistan, against this violence. I also want to extend deep gratitude and thanks to the Siinqee Institute for gathering us here today to have this conversation. And also your remarks earlier towards the beginning of your statement, Zilan, about the energy of women and the way that it cultivates life and the way that it is the answer, for us in finding new ways to live together, to build societies. Those are really moving remarks. So I also want to mention that. I'm going straight into my questions, and to give a bit of foreground to them. I developed these two questions really in light of understanding the context that you're going to give us on the situation in Syria. And you've described how this transition is really revealing itself to lack the values of democracy and consensus, which directly puts at threat the project that you told us in depth about, the Rojava project, the democratic project there, which has been built in this northeastern Syrian region. And I would like us to get into more detail and understanding just how radically new this project is, which you've again shed some light on, but particularly when it comes to creating structures that care for the liberation of women, so that we can get a picture of exactly what is at threat and how urgently the protection of this project is. So in this regard, like I said, I've developed these questions. So during there were these images of heroic female fighters defending the people against Daesh or ISIS, and they were widely popularized across the globe through mainstream media, social media. Though I feel few really understand the sociological connection between the paradigm of democratic, which is, the ideology that is behind building this project in Rojava, and its root pillar of women's liberation or freedom for women, and how this is also the base for the realization of the principle of self-defense itself, revolution, and exists now as they continue to defend Kurdistan and its diverse population. This question interests me because the conversation of self-defense in Oromia, and I would also argue much of the African continent, but particularly in Oromia, where there is an active armed struggle that women also participate in, that women also lead, though not necessarily in the autonomous ways that as we see in Rojava. I'm yet to really see us go beyond collectively, talk about just the right to fight a violent state and develop a conversation recognizing that the nation-state project, patriarchy, and the military-industrial complex are all connected. And I deeply desire for us collectively to start making these connections and to start cultivating our self-defense position and our self-defense units from this understanding and its work through the Oromo Democratic Revolutionary Party, through our writing, that we are trying to make these connections. But I want to understand from you, Zilan, what is the theoretical base of your movement that has made it so that you have autonomous women's self-defense organizations? What role do these organizations play in Rojava? And how does this go beyond just fighting Turkey or Syria, but go on to ensure that the new society that is being built is also free of patriarchy and nation status violence?
Okay, thank you. Now, actually, your intervention is very important to go deeper in the topic. Now, as the Kurdish freedom movement, Kurdish people has a long struggling history. But and we say that we have 29 resistance, 29 uprising, Kurdish uprising, and they are saying that the Kurdish freedom movement, which is known to be with the label with the name of PKK, Workers' Party, Kurdistan Workers' Party, has been established in 1970s, 1978 exactly. And this is known to be the last Kurdish uprising, the 29th Kurdish uprising. And when this uprising started, this organization, the Kurdistan Workers' Party, started with its first discussions and were getting popularized, mobilized. They made an evaluation. They made an evaluation of the all other uprisings. Why, although all these resistances, why Kurdish people are still so much divided and colonized, and even they are under the threat to lose their language, who are labeled as everything, but not as Kurdish. So here the point was because we didn't have a strong self-defense mechanism. We didn't have a strong remaining sustainable self-defense mechanisms. All these uprisings has been suppressed by the state forces, and Kurdish and the people when a society is defenseless, that then can be broken down by a bigger or by a stronger force very easily. But this force is not a military force. This understanding of self-defense or defense mechanisms is not the mechanism is not just relying on military defense. is not just relying on guns. Is not just relying on soldiers or anything else. This self-defense, the pillars of defense, has been developed on identity, knowing yourself, knowing your history, and developing this sense of or conscious of defending yourself from the attacks by through organizing organically within your society. So to organize yourself, to know yourself, and also to know your colonial enemy or the states that are working to kill you, to work on them. So to be conscious of history and to be conscious of society, geography, to be conscious of the time and place you are in, were very important in coming up with a self-defense organization. So with this ideology, with this background, when we look from the very beginning of this Kurdish freedom movement, the idea was women have been colonized. Women are colonized as Kurdistan is colonized. Is the very basic idea coming up. So the evaluations that has been made for Kurdistan, how Kurdish people can be themselves, how Kurdish people can defend themselves against attacks, ideological attacks and military attacks, physical attacks, was applied to the women's liberation formation. So women should organize themselves. Women should know themselves. Women should become aware of their history and their selves. Through this, women should come up or develop their defense mechanisms. So since 1987, Kurdish women within the Kurdish freedom movement start to establish their self-organizations, women-only organizations. But when we come up to in the 90s, we see that if women don't have their self-power or their decision on what they will do, how they will take part in this struggle, national freedom struggle, liberation struggle, then they will be suppressed by the dominant male mentality very easily. They will go under the effect of the male style, the dominant style. So in the 90s, women started to develop their army, women army, and then they develop women's party. So this main background let every Kurdish woman to know that they are belonging to a women home. They have a home which they can solve, which they can take strength, find energy, and which they can solve their problems, and which they can analyze and take action, develop actions to struggle against this state and male dominancy, power hierarchies. So we have every Kurdish in the four part of the Kurdistan, Kurdish women see this, and the Kurdish guerrilla forces create such a social effect in Kurdistan that women who are not politically active, they were also they were also in a position that we have a Kurdish women organization, we have a women's army at our back. So they have this self-confidence. So when Rojava Revolution in 2011 developed, people take over the regime places. In 2012, directly the attacks of Al-Nusra Front is the former name of the head Tahrir Sham, which is now Jolani Ahmet al-Shara is its leader. Its first formation was Al-Nusra. Al-Nusra forces started to attack Serekani, the cities like Serekani, Gresipi, to the Kurdish regions. And when they saw the first attacks come from the Islamist, the fundamentalist Islamist groups like Al-Nusra, which is affiliated with Al-Qaeda, not from the regime, Ba'ath regime itself. So when this happened, women start to organize themselves, take guns. If the ones who don't have guns, they just organize themselves in small groups to protect their neighborhoods, and to protect their country, their cities. And then, because they have this background that what is the importance of self-organizing and self-defense for the women. This movement, these small groups who start to organize around the idea of protecting their neighborhoods and protecting their cities, 2012 onwards, start to turn to an army, women's army, YPG, women's protection units of North and East Syria. Now they are the main force pushing, moving organization of women's revolution. They change the mentality. They change the idea of the classical woman stereotype. And now today, it's very important. That they not just as a military force, but they are they have a special role as a philosophical and as a political expression of women's will, women's own will, and women's power of creating and developing.
Thank you, Zilan. I'm going to go next and try to do this quickly. What you said in your talk about the values women historically carried is really significant to me. And then just now with your conversation with Sureti, the idea of knowing yourself. And so in my own sort of examination of the similarities of the Rojava women's movement and that of Oromo Siinqee sisterhood, I noticed the ways in which Oromo and Kurdish women are using song and music and spoken word and dress to make sense of their experience and communicate their connections to one another. And so I'm struck by the central importance that particularly song and women's bodies play in visually and symbolically expressing their collective vision of a women's liberation and restorative justice. In both places, women's indigenous institutions are threatened by land confiscation, illegal occupation, and war from within these repressive regimes. But you mentioned in your talk last year for the Siinqee Institute, if I understood you correctly, that during violent clashes in the past, Rojava women were able to throw their white headscarves between warring parties in order to get them to stop. And so I'm just going to share an image so we can see what those headscarves look like. So we see Rojava women in the top right and the bottom left, and Oromo women, Afrankala Oromo women, in the top left and bottom right. In this very similar way, so the idea of throwing your headscarf between warring parties, we find Siinqee mothers among the Borana, for example, using their sticks to stop violence. among the Afrin that you see here, they have discussed the oaths that they take to maintain peace when their mothers first cover their hair with the gufta. It's hard to see, but this woman down in the bottom right is wearing that netting for the first time. It is said that the tying of these garments is a kind of securing of peaceful action in the wearer. We also have examples of Oromo men wearing women's dress at times of unrest to symbolize peace that they hope to negotiate going between warring parties or warring clans. And so with the Siinqee Institute, where we're looking at that practice, specifically the stick, much like the scarf you described, is considered as a sacred mandate for peace. That which is most central to a woman's body, like a scarf or stick, is in essence the woman herself and her ability to create and conduct peaceful relationships. In the places in Oromia where I have talked with women and men about this practice, particularly the one we're looking at here, and this power is beginning to decline. And so I'm curious what is happening in Syria. Is this happening for women there, and why? And if not, are there new and perhaps more modern ways in which women's sacrality is communicated and utilized? And I'll stop, share, so you can have a chance to reflect.
Thank you for showing this very nice, beautiful images. Actually, we see we have the same roots as humanity. We have the same roots, and we have female roots. We have these strong roots of motherhood, a society which is gathering around mother, which is becoming society around mother. So we call that the first women's revolution in the history has developed in this lens, in the lens where Kurdistan or Rojava is situated now. And always we use this. Now we need to revitalize this, the very first women's revolutions values according to our time. So the Rojava women's revolution is totally relying on this culture of motherhood, this mother culture, which is socializing, which is gathering, which is sharing, which is keeping calm, which is feeding. And we see when we do this, especially for Jineologji Academy, as Jineologji Academy, we try to research on the traditions which can be seen as the continuation of this mother culture, of the roots of motherhood. And we try to remark them, we try to vitalize them, we try to bring this knowledge, bring this ancient knowledge and this rooted long knowledge to the politics and to the daily life of the women again. So as you said, as you give the information of white scarf is one of the signs, one of the traces that we see this motherhood, mother culture very strongly. But unfortunately, we see that these lands that made women becoming the main pillar, the main holder of the society. Now the war, the male dominant mentality, colonization is making the same women as as nothing in the society. So making down her power, makes her forgetting what she has, what she gives to the society. So all of these traditions are slowly going down. But in a modern phase, still we have still we have the examples that still, if a woman is saying that, is coming forward to stop a war or to stop a fight, her words are accountable. But we have a concept, rusipi. Rusipi is in Kurdish and it means white face or white shave. The people who for elders it's being used. But we see that now these rusipis, so the elders who are responsible to develop the reconciliation in the society or to solve the problems in the society, nowadays are mostly men. Mostly men. There are also women, but they are mostly men. But through the Mejlis, council and commune system, through the commune system and council system, now in every council, people's council, there is a committee and peace and reconciliation committee. Peace and reconciliation committee in the councils, and both women and men, especially the ones who have an opinion or who are seen as a piece of in the place of respect in the society, are taking their part in these committees. And when there's a problem, there's an issue in society, in community, when there's a problem, social problem, this before everything, before the mechanisms like laws, the prison or any legal, let's say, applications in the state concepts, this committee is with men and women are intervening the issue. They are listening the both sides. They are listening to both sides of the issue, and they are trying to find the best solution for the persons, for the individuals, or for the groups who are part of the conflict, and the best solution for the community which they are in. Also, sharing food or offering coffee is a very important sign of peace, calling peace, calling reconciliance for the one who are in conflict. So, like offering coffee, offering food, like for example, taking your scarf off, or there are some other signs which we can see both the traditional ways forms, and as I said, in the council formation, we also have in the more politicized, in the new form of self-organization, we also modernize, let's say, vitalize these traditional forms.
Great, thank you so much.
Okay, thank you for the excellent discussion. And now we're going to open the room for questions and also reflections from the audience. And this will be moderated by Perry and Soreti.
So please feel free to raise your hands. I'm just seeing if anybody is there. Lulia, would you please go ahead and unmute yourself?
Hello, how are you? First of all, thank you so much for coming here today. I just want to say that I like how you talked about how the liberation of Kurdish women is perpendicular to that of Kurdistan. I wholeheartedly agree with this. Thank you. That stuck with me, and I think will stick with me for as long as it can. My question though is, what challenges have you faced? Like, what are the biggest challenges you faced to sort of sustaining this fight for liberation, and what kind of support do you think that the international community or students like me could be able to give or help in this fight? So other than that, thank you, and keep going. Thank you.
Excellent question. Thank you, Lulia. Go ahead, Zilan.
Thank you, Lily, for this question. Actually, there are many things that we can do together. Just as we share, maybe later, also Siinqee Institute can share our call. There we have some more concrete proposals, which already have been done, actually. Now the problem is as we said, breaking the silence is very important. So speaking up, using the circles, evaluating the circles that you are in. If you are a teacher or professor, use your class as a place to do this. If you are an artist, use your paint or use your I don't know, theater skin, where you can do this. Whatever profession or activity you are in, to speak about what's happening here, or why actually what's happening, more than what's happening here. I think why the lives, or what's going on in Syria, what's going on, what's happening in Democratic Autonomous Administration of Northern Syria, which we call Rojava Revolution in shortly, is connected to our lives. So to make the connection in between here and your lives there, wherever you are, is very important to create this empathy. And for this we have many million tools to create this. The second thing, what we can do with your solidarity, is to enforce the governments, the official political institutions, international institutions, which are not working, actually, which are very bad in governing or in working with this issue now, to enforce them to take action, or to take necessary measurements for this, at least for the very open crimes against humanity. If they don't take action to build up a democratic governing system, at least they can take some measurements against the crimes which are now opposed on people, humanitarian crimes. So this pushing governments, pushing effective organizations to go on the way of democracy, to support building up democracy here in Syria, to hear the voices of the people who are here seen as minorities, or who are not affiliated with HTŞ, with the new government forces, and also to support. It's very important to support, to be voice for the call which has been made by Kurdish leaders, Kurdish people's leaders, and also a philosophical leader, Abdullah Öcalan, which he calls for a general peace and democracy and freedom for the peoples of all Middle East. To support, to voice this call is also important, I think. And you can also share and tell what are your proposals, or what we can do together.
Thank you.
Anybody else who'd like to ask a hand? Tarinamni afaan Oromoonis yoo gaafii gaafachuu barbaaddanii afaan isiniif hiikuun danda'ama. So carraa san isin qabdanii. If anyone would like to have just said, ask a question in afaan Oromoo, you can do that as well, and I can translate the question. As we wait for that hand, that last comment that you made, Zilan, what are your proposals? I would like the audience to know how serious Comrade Zilan is about that, because the Kurdish struggle has an extremely strong and vibrant internationalist wing or components to its struggle, whereby people from all around the world are involved, in the innermost parts of the struggle. I'm not seeing any hands. I might take the opportunity. You can also write in the chat box if you would.
My apology.
Yes,
I couldn't raise
Aga,
my hand.
you would.
Yeah, for some reason it doesn't allow me to raise my hand. But I just want to say it's not a question, but I would like to express my gratitude to you, Zillian. It's what a wonderful presentation. Very enlightening. I love what you talked about self-defense. We usually think of self-defense in terms of physical confrontation, but knowing oneself, your identity, your history, your tradition, very powerful. That's one of the things the oppressors usually target to minimize, to dismiss, to stereotype, and so that you hate yourself, right? So what an amazing new concept, self-defense through being conscious and being proud of your identity and practicing your tradition. That really reminds me of a quotation from Angela Davis that say, liberation is not the end of operation, but a beginning of being in a new, like being in a new, being in a new way, living in a new way, loving oneself. And yeah, I am just in awe. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Aga. I don't see any other questions at the moment, but I know, Saredi, you had another one. Oh, is there?
Sure. Yeah. Bonnie.
Bonnie's in the chat that her question was already addressed. But Bonnie, do you want to add something else?
Yes, hello. Thank you very much, Zilan. And I wanted to just underscore that I appreciate the fact that you've shared the video. We will look carefully at the materials that you have available, because I think there's an enormous message that can be picked up here and carried forward with peoples like the Oromo and the Kurds who have not had their own territories, who have had very common histories in many ways, and who are facing the same kinds of challenges, but we really look closely at what you have done and accomplished, and thank you for sharing the details of the grassroots effort. It was really a wonderful presentation.
Thanks for that, Bonnie. Yes, Perry, I did have another question. I'm not sure if you did as well, but if we don't have any other interventions from the audience after this, we'll pass it over to you to ask the final one in the case I think you did have one. But my one relates to Zilan, and you mentioned it in the last response that you gave in regards to solidarity and the fact that there was a call recently made by the leader of the Kurdish movement, Abdullah Öcalan. It was on the 25th of February, and it's quite a historic call for one of the main parties of Kurdistan. And you also spoke of the PKK in talking us through the institutions that make up the self-defense apparatuses in Kurdistan. And so this call was to the PKK essentially to cease all fighting with Turkey, one of the four nation states occupying Kurdistan. And at the end of 2023, I had the enormous privilege and quite life-changing opportunity, to be honest, to attend a political education by an organization, the Academy of Democratic Modernity, as part of the Kurdish Liberation Movement. And one of the many things we learned was about the autonomous women's political structures that exist across Kurdistan, and how much power they possess in critical moments just like this one, like this call that's been made by Öcalan. If I'm not mistaken, actually, one of the kind of case studies that was given to us to illustrate what kind of power these women's structures hold is that in the past, women have made the final decision about whether ceasefires, go ahead or don't go ahead. Just to give the audience an idea of the extent of the power of these committees and institutions. So I want to ask, more about this, these autonomous women structures, and how they work in moments like this, when, like now, decisions like a permanent ceasefire or organizational change, like what all mixed structures, and all of the political, social, economic structures. There's no place, as I understand, where there isn't a co-chair women together. So why, in that context, do you also have another layer, let's say, of protection or representation for women? What is the thinking behind this? Is my question, as per the paradigm, democratic confederalism. Long question, I know, but yeah, important, I think.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I have some internet issues, so I couldn't hear the last part very well, but I understand the idea. Now, as we say, we were talking about women's revolution. Maybe here, as you mentioned, now we have in two layers of organization, one for general and one we say haser. This means autonomous or female only. In English, it's also saying like this. But the point here is not female only, actually. Passer, so autonomous, means to have, because women are the very first colonized section of the society. Very first colonized, we called, Rebel Abdullah Öcalan called women as a nation, colonized nation. On every level, to liberate ourselves from this colonization, it's not enough to have female-only spaces. It's not enough to have just the physical appearance somewhere over there. It's very important to decolonize our minds. It's very important to learn how to think, how to decide, how to walk together as women without being under effect of any domination, neither state domination, neither male domination, neither under the effect of occupiers and whatsoever. We can make the list longer. So for this, women should be by themselves in this thinking, evaluating and developing their day and their future. So giving in decision mechanisms, in the system that has been developed, is now going on in North and East Syria. There are always a women autonomous organization level, women's councils next to not just next to the general social community council, which is the very decisive part of it. Because if women cannot give decisions by themselves, it's not possible to come up with a democratic grant, total democratic grant. This because the so-called democratic grant, when you don't work on the disequalities, when you don't work on these historical breaks that colonize women, that then can create new disequalities. Because we practice here that it's very easy for women to go in silence when there is a man speaking better and fluent next to him. It's very easy for a woman to think that her ideas are not valuable, her decisions are not good enough when she see a man or anybody who has profession in politics or in economics or in literature, whatever, speaking there. So it's very important to have this haser autonomous grounds for women to learn and to develop, to think, to create, to develop and to come up with politics, And now in the system, in the democratic system we have here, as you said, now we have a social contract, North and East Syria, Democratic Autonomous Administration social contract, which has been declared and started to be enacted last year in 2024. Now Women Council of North and East Syria, are working on a women social contract, which will go side by side to the general social contract. And in the general social contract, it is noted that this social contract, any amendment of the social contract shouldn't be contradictory to the women's social contract, which will be declared future. So the general system is connected, or should be, is noted that it should be compatible, or it shouldn't be contradictory with the women's values or women's amendments, which they will decide. So in the peace process also, now, it's for this reason that not just only the women organizations, but the autonomous administrations organizations, the political parties, the women's organization, the general civil organizations here are declaring in their declarations, remarking this point that women's participation in the process, in the reconstruction process of Syria, is the red line for us. Because if women are not there with their own will and own idea and own words, not just physically, then we cannot talk about democracy there. We cannot talk about freedom there. So for this, let me come back to the declaration come from Reberapo Abdullah Öcalan. There, today, in 8th of March, we listened his special message for women. I think in English you will also see in today or tomorrow at most. There, for example, there is a very important sentence. He wrote. He says in his message, "Without women's freedom, neither socialism, nor democracy is possible. If women's socialism and democracy are possible only if there is freedom of women." So this is the basic pillar of the peace process, and this is the basic pillar of building a democratic society. And self-defense, to connect with the other questions, self-defense is the very important part of democratic society, because democracy is not a concept that we can limit to the parliamentaries. Democracy is not a concept that we can limit to the political parties or groups. Democracy is a philosophy. Democracy is a relationality, interaction in between, among the people, among the society. How a woman and man should talk to each other. How a woman and a child should talk to each other. Democracy is relying in these relations. So it's very important to understand in the 21st century, if we want a free future, if we want freedom, if we want liberation from the colonized countries, from the colonized states, as in Oromo case and in Kurdistan case, the very basic thing that we should do is to develop this notion of democracy among our societies. and among our countries. Because without a democratic society, even we have governance, that will not bring freedom or liberation to us. For this, it's very important to understand and to go deeper in the message of Abdullah Öcalan.
Thank you so much, Zilan. Our final question is going to be from Dr. Kouei.
I just wanted to say thank you so much, Zilan. It's been so rich and so inspiring. And I just wanted to pick up on Bonnie's and Aga's gratitude. It's really being grateful for what we have learned today. Not a question, but just trying to point out the fact that what women do is already on the ground in Rojava. They have brought together multi-ethnic, multi-faith groups together and created these autonomous institutions. This is what women can do, not alone, but together with everybody else. And that self-defense piece is a very important, like it's at the heart of the whole movement, women's movement, being and knowing yourself and being in the world according to the truth you have in that self. So I think that is a very important thing. And I am aware that we are running way behind our time. So I just wanted to finish by this gratitude to everybody who is around and for Zilan for enlightening us and for the discussions, amazing discussions, and the comments and questions from the floor. I just wanted to say thank you.
Yeah, so sorry to close this really great discussion session. We apologize that we ran a little bit behind, but I felt like so many great points were discussed and we barely scratched the surface. So I do hope these conversations will continue and we continue to learn from each other. Thank you so much, Zilan, for this enlightening talk, and to the discussants, Perry and Soreti, for your insightful questions. And thank you to the audience for staying with us until the end. For me, it was really amazing to learn about the immense sacrifices paid by the Kurdish women, and also to see their strength and resilience in fighting oppression. And sometimes, and actually often, we only focus on what's happening in our communities and just our own struggles, and we feel that our situation is unique. But today's session highlighted the fact that it's important to expand our horizon and be aware of other liberation struggles that happen all over the world. And as it also came across in the panel discussions, there is an overarching connection between the struggles in Oromia and the Kurdish movement for freedom, and also the parallels between the practices of the Rojava women and the Siinqee mothers and their roles in bringing peace to their communities. So there's so much we can learn from each other. And I do hope that this has piqued everybody's interest to learn more. So with this, I would like to thank everybody for participating in this program. Of course, our speakers, Zilan, our discussants, Perry and Soreti, and everybody who took part in organizing this program. And I want to shout out special thanks to our volunteers, Lulia and Akash, for being great partners to the Siinqee Institute and for spreading the word among their connections. And so thank you. And last but not least, thank you to Goli, who is managing our Zoom, and for her technical expertise and for making sure that this meeting went without a hitch. So thank you so much to everyone, and I hope we'll see you again next year.